believe the amount of money the establishment wing of the Republican Party is spending this primary season to try to take out conservatives. 93 WIBC, it's the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob Kendall. Casey's here. Let's welcome in the amount of money that these terrible, awful establishment Republican Party power brokers are spending to take out conservatives. It's terrible. And let's welcome in the guy who's getting the brunt of it. One of our all-time favorite elected officials here in the state of Indiana. I get asked all the time, well, who do you like? This is one of the guys I like, and they're punishing him. It's our friend John Jacob. John, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great, Rob. Thank you for having me on.
Now, you are in the, it's House District 93 that you're running for election. I guess it's re-election, right? Even though your district is a little different this time. And it's the south side of Indianapolis, right?
That's correct.
And Greenwood was in your district, but they conveniently kind of drew that out,
They
right?
gerrymandered it, and they completely cut everything out in Johnson County, which was a rural conservative area. They cut all that out, and it was a concerted effort specifically to try to get me out of office.
Okay, now you are, and I mention you quite a bit on this show. I say you and Kurt Nicely are the two guys of. It's amazing. All these Republicans, supermajorities in the House and Senate. You and Kurt Nicely are the two guys who have consistently not only stood up for the voters, but you've been vocal about it. You guys have tried to repeal the mandates. You guys tried to fight against the shutdowns. You guys have stood up to the governor. I mean, it's sad that of all these Republicans, you two have been the only two who have consistently stood up for the people.
That's correct, Rob. And, and I wish the rest of my colleagues would stand for what's right. I wish they would stand by their God-given constitutional oath. I wish they would stand for what the Republican platform is all about, because I believe in the Republican platform. I believe that Kurt Nicely and myself, frankly, are the only two true Republicans in the legislature.
Now, we're about to talk about the amount of money that the establishment wing of the Republican Party is going to spend to try to defeat you, or is spending to try to defeat you. But first, I say this, and maybe you can expand on this because you see it up close and personal. I maintain that the Republican Party in Indiana strongly dislikes, if not really hates, conservatives as an overarching theme. Can you talk about what it's been like for you to be in the House of Representatives these past 2 years and be one of two guys who has taken on the governor, and how you've been treated as a result?
Well, I would say that starting with my God-given constitutional oath to uphold the U.S. and state constitution, I hit the ground running. I preempted a lot of things that I said I was going to do before I got elected, and I made good on those promises and even more. I talked about, trying to end all abortion immediately in the state of Indiana. I talked about authoring a clean constitutional carry bill. I talked about less government, less taxes, parental rights. I talked about our constitutional rights, our religious liberties and freedoms, and medical freedom and bodily autonomy. And those things I fought for. And in trying to bring good legislation over and over and over for the last two sessions, Representative Kurt Nicely and myself have been met with opposition from the supposed Republican Party, from my colleagues, and what I call the establishment. And it's a shame. I mean, they are throwing we the people under the bus.
John Jacob is our guest. We're about to talk about this incredible amount of money being spent to defeat him by the Republican establishment this year. And look, you're important and Nicely's important because you guys have been the leaders, the lone voices. I think there's I was talking with a friend of yours before this interview, and he was spot on. I think they're nervous, and we're about to reveal the number here. They're spending this on you because they know you're about to get several more colleagues to join you guys in the liberty and freedom movement this year, and they are wholly invested in taking you out. Because we saw it with Curtis Hill, they cannot stand. I mean, think about it. You guys are 2 out of 150 people. You're 2 out of 150 people. And the Republican establishment, when people hear this amount of money, is treating you worse than they treat the Democrats.
Oh, absolutely. And it's ironic because, I want people to get some context here. I have, number one, an average house race is only $25,000 to $30,000.
Wait till people hear this number. Say that again. What's the average?
The average house race is only $25,000 to $30,000. I don't want to steal your thunder, Rob. So if you want to announce it, or I can, whichever one you want to do.
So you are running for re-election, House District 93. John Jacobs, our guest, south side of Indianapolis. And you have an opponent who's running against you. Now,
Yes.
I was told, is this right, that she was a former Senate staffer?
That's correct.
Is that, boy, that's amazing how that works out.
And she's by the way, she's the fourth pick. She was the fourth. she really was the. And I'm not trying to be rude nor have anything against my opponent, but frankly, she was fourth down on the totem pole list because of various issues that came up with the first three candidates that they tried to get to run against me, and so she ended up being the fourth pick.
So the amount of money, and it's amazing how they drew the districts so that it worked out perfect. When they redraw these districts, I always say gerrymandering. It's a donor and lobbyist Christmas miracle every 10 years when those districts get redrawn. The House Republican Campaign Committee is who is spending the majority of this money. And as you said, the average House primary race, $25,000, $30,000, which is still a lot of money. But the House Republican Campaign Committee, now that is essentially the arm. It usually serves as the re-election arm of the Republican Party, right, for our state House candidates in a general election. They are spending almost $500,000. $500,000 to defeat you, John. That's an incredible incredible amount of money because they normally don't spend anywhere near that to defeat a Democrat.
Right, exactly. So, and I tell people, it's like, what are they so afraid of? I mean, if I was really that ineffectual, well, no,
right.
you wouldn't really care then. I mean, but nonetheless, them spending $500,000 just absolutely shows that myself and Representative Curtin Isley have been incredibly effective in trying to, as I tell people, at the door, to drag the establishment swamp back to the Republican platform. Now, either they're going to be dragged back to the Republican platform, or we're going to try to do everything we can to inspire others to replace them.
Well, it really does show how petty they are. Because think about it. You're just two guys. And so you can't really stop anything. They can still do and have done whatever they want or don't do whatever they don't want to do. But they're so petty. The money behind the Republican Party in this state is so petty that they will spend this egregious amount of money not to help a Republican defeat a Democrat, but to help an unknown Senate staffer, one of their people, defeat the one of two guys who had the audacity to speak out. This is what I tell people when I say, if you're a conservative in Indiana and you're voting for incumbents other than you and Curtin Isley, you're doing yourself a huge disservice because the Republican Party hates conservatives. It's incredible. It's unbelievable.
It's really sad to me because, I mean, they say that they love people, they care about the people of the state, and frankly, I would say that's nothing of the sort. I'm trying to be as kind as I can to this.
You're way too nice.
Well, I believe that they've thrown Hoosiers underneath the bus. They have continued to throw Hoosiers underneath the bus. I believe that their actions actually show that they do not love the people of the state. They actually, by their actions, I would say that they hate the people of the state, and they like their power, and they want to preserve their power by using money as a leverage to be able to preserve that position.
Yeah, so let's talk about what people need to know, okay? Because obviously, when you're up against this sort of money, I mean, it's probably part of you is pretty flattered, though, right? I mean, they hate you that much.
I guess there's,
come on.
yes.
Pretty flattering, right?
Yes.
I mean, think about how much rich donor and lobbyist money you're wasting this year.
Yep. And you know what?
I mean, that's a yacht payment for one of these guys.
Yes.
I mean, that's the win, lose, or draw. You're wasting a lot of rich Republican money in the process.
Right. And on the other side of that is on the issue of funding. My campaign is funded by people who are liberty-minded, constitutional conservatives. They are funded by friends, family, people I go to church with, people who love liberty, and just some limited liberty-minded PACs, some limited money from them. But really, other than that, I've got nothing else. I don't have that kind of big money, but I do have people who are dedicated to our Constitution and who love liberty, and they love what's just, and they want to see that continue and advance forward.
A couple minutes left here with John Jacob. We're talking about he running for re-election in House District 93, south side of Indianapolis. He's one of two constitutional-based conservatives who've really stood up for the people the past couple of years. For that, the Republican Party putting almost $500,000 against his re-election, which is just... I mean, that's just gross for a state house primary race of the people, the same party. So how's it going out there? Because ultimately money just buys you access to people, and you got to make the sale, and you've done it before, and you're doing it again. How's it going out there on the doors when you go out there and talk to people?
When I talk to people at the doors, and I'm a very, I think what you know of me, I'm a very upfront person.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. It's nothing more, nothing less, and that's what I try to tell people at the door. Look, this is what I promised. This is what I delivered on, and I did far more than that. I try to lay out to people that this is my voting record. If you want to go out and take a look at it, and I just tell people that my opponent has literally stolen my platform language because they know that my platform language is what the people of this state want, and she has taken that language that I know there is no way that she's going to be able to fulfill what I was representing if she gets elected, because she's bought and paid for by the HRCC. She's bought and paid for by the establishment swamp. They're not going to allow one of their own who's bought and paid for to then rebel against them. They're doing this with full knowledge, knowing that this person's their person, and they're going to go along with the narrative with them. And when I talk to people at the door, people have been very supportive. In a matter of just a minute or two, when I explain to people, they're like, "Oh, yeah, you're the person I want to vote for."
Yeah. So if people want to know more, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty time. I think early voting started today, I think. So April 20th, right? Is that the early voting? Yeah, that's right. At least in Hendricks County it is. Assume it's same place everywhere. If people want to know how they can help you, because you and Kurt are really such a big, and he's got some competition as well, as I understand it.
He does.
The establishment so hates conservatives, and this is what I've been telling our audience, and you are the living, breathing proof of everything I've been telling people. They're willing to spend gobs and gobs of money to defeat conservatives because they hate them. If people want to know more about what you're doing, about how, hey, it's go time, people are starting to vote, how they can be a part of what you're doing, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to my webpage. It's voteforjohnjacob.com, voteforjohnjacob.com, and then also my Facebook social media page, John Jacob State Representative. I lay out a lot of stuff that I've done for We the People over the last 2 years, videos, legislation, and how I spoke up for the people, stood for the people, and how I'm just asking people to please reelect me on May 3rd so that you can send me back to the State House to fight for We the People.
Look, whether you live in that district or not, you got a vested interest in this, because as John and I talked about, I think there's going to be some really good liberty and freedom-minded people who are going to be joining Kurt and John in the State House this year, and they can make a lot of noise. They can make a big difference, but we got to send these guys back because they've been fighting for you when nobody else is. Look, I've been to those rallies. You and Curtis are the only guys I've seen who have consistently been at these rallies, whether it's 100 degrees outside, whether it's 10 degrees outside. You guys have been there. You are what a representative should be. You deserve to go back. And gosh darn it, now that I know how miserable you make Eric Holcomb and the establishment wing of the Republican Party, I'm more on board with you than ever before. John Jacob, keep up the good work. And best of luck, my friend.
Thank you so much, Rob.
93 WIBC, it's the Kendall Show.